Yeah, I don't have what I have because I'm massively successful at business. I have what I have because I was cheap as hell for first 10, 12 years of my
You were a cheap
financial
bastard,
life.
huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you should tell that story
Well,
about how cheap of a bastard you were.
it was cheap, dude. Like, hang on. Grab my water. Grab that.
Anyway, just to preface Josh's story, welcome back to the pod. This is the Fireside chat where we chat by the fire. Welcome here. Which I'm sampling a new flavor today.
How's the old sour apple?
Sour apple. Yeah, let me hold on that thought. So, Josh, I'm in the process of looking for a house. I'm just ready to buy something, and yeah, that's where I'm at. So, it actually has taken a lot of time and energy and effort to just look and go see places, and surprisingly, how much that of my life that's been a part of recently is just trying to find a place.
Especially if you're being
And
particular.
my hopes are super. Like, I'm not hoping for a lot. I'm just hoping for a little. I just want a yard to shoot my bow in and relatively quiet place, little backyard, and the place could be super simple. Even a little bit of a fixer-upper, I wouldn't mind. But our housing market's it's hot, and it's been that way for since COVID. Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't seem to be cooling off. I keep thinking it will, and I saw a place the other day I liked, and it got an offer right away. And
you're shopping in near the entry level price point, probably. Yeah. And I remember when I bought my first house, I was 21. Yeah. And I looked at like 60 or 70 houses. And the number of ones that I looked at that actually looked good, that had offers on them by the time I made an offer.
But this was pre-Zillow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't necessarily get to preview them so much before you showed up.
That's true. I didn't know what I was looking for, so you wouldn't have to go through as many houses now. Mm-hmm. But I was also being picky, and I was looking at all my options and everything that I could.
Yeah.
You want to throw a couple of them little ones on there?
Yeah.
I think I might have missed my window there.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, I distinctly remember missing out on multiple houses before I finally got one. Mm-hmm. And ironically, if it's any sort of consolation, I really ended up with what I think was the best one that I looked at over that time. I mean, when you're looking at entry-level housing, you're probably not in the best neighborhood. You're probably not, you're probably looking at something that needs some work, that's older, that kind of thing. But it's a great place to get started on that part of your financial life, because that's going to be something that helps you transition into other housing as you get older. And it's something I was eternally grateful for. And I look back now and go, God, if you had a choice between going to college and buying a house, buy a house anymore. I really believe it. You end up so much better off. And I'm very fortunate. My oldest daughter already bought a house, so she's on her way down that path, and I only got one kid left to worry about to make sure they at least get into a house at some point.
Yeah.
Before it just becomes so unachievable or attainable. If it keeps going the direction it's going, it's going to be really hard, if not impossible, to get a house, unless you already have one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy financial flip, what it would do to your balance sheet, being 22 years old and in $100,000 of debt, or being 22 years old and maybe having $20,000 in an asset, or $50,000 or $100,000, or if you flip that balance sheet, it's just a wild flip to where you're at age 50, assuming everything kind of compounds at the same level. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, in today's day and age, man, if you went into a trade that paid well, young,
and you can own your own
18
business,
or 19,
right?
Eventually you can own your own business. You learn, you acquire your skills, and if you're really disciplined and you save all your money, if the first thing you buy at 19 is a duplex or something like that, and you rent out the other side of it, and then
you'd be just balling.
Well, and you keep saving the money and keep buying houses.
And you didn't go buy a new vehicle,
Yeah, if you hit 28 and you've got 10 houses, dude, you are set. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take that much. And I had somebody, about 15 years ago, that's what he did. He was a cop, and they had this good program where they called it Cop in the Hood. And if you were willing to live in sketchy areas, they sold you a house for next to nothing. Mm. The catch
probably to make that place feel safer.
Yeah, there's a cop in the neighborhood, right?
Cop in the hood.
Cop in the hood. And it actually worked relatively well, but you had to live there for 2 years. Mm. So I knew two of them that's every 2 years they bought another Cop in the Hood house and rented the other one, mm-hmm. and kept moving into them and whatnot. And now both of those guys have 60, 80 houses because they took that money and reinvested it in more housing, and they're both independently wealthy and on cop salaries, right? And the older of the two, I believe the phrase was, "You own your house outright?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Pick up your sack and start buying some houses." I'm like, "I know, but at the time was really close to trying to work out a deal with my dad to buy the business, right?" And I really wonder where I would be now if 15 years ago, I took my equity or my value of my home, borrowed it, and went and bought houses. And back then, God, I mean, I could have bought entry-level housing for $100,000 back then. And I had a house that was probably worth $3 at the time. So figure you borrow $260 or $240. And if you're buying houses at $100,000, you need $20,000. That's 12 houses.
Yep.
I could have bought 12 houses back then that would all be worth $400,000 to $600,000 now and probably paid for by now.
Yeah.
Right? So which one was a smarter business move? I probably should have bought the houses. Not to say I'm not doing well. I mean, we're growing, we're expanding. I'm not, taking an income more, but we're definitely, on
Growing
the right
the business,
track.
yeah.
But if I had 12 houses that were paid in full, what's rent on a family size house right now?
Yeah, on
Like
a family
$3,000?
size, yeah, it's anywhere from say in our area like a 3-bedroom.
Yeah,
That's-
it'd be minimum 3-bedroom houses.
Yeah, those are 2,600 to 3,500.
Okay, so let's say 3,000.
Yeah,
Times 12. That's $36,000 a month
yeah,
on stuff I own. That's $500,000, not quite $500,000 a year. That's like $4 something a year. And then take some out for, coverage of things and what have you. It's still like $300,000 a year.
yeah. You could go on a few hunts for that.
Yeah, I'd be done working. Like I wouldn't, and realistically, I'm sure I would have taken that and expanded on it. If I went down that road, I know myself, I'd be a little obsessive. I'd probably have 30 or 40 houses by now. I'd still be paying for some of them, but I'd probably done the same thing. And the freaking interest rate back then was 2 3/4, and it's just nuts.
But if you think about that, I mean, every time you say that, like 15 years ago, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same story. You could do the same thing now. It's just a little higher barrier to entry or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you
relatively
totally could.
speaking, cost of inflation probably hasn't changed that much relative to dollar value. But yeah, it's there's kind of a mean saying that I heard an entrepreneur podcast I listen to. Like more dumb people have gotten rich off of real estate than any other job.
Yeah, because it's not complicated.
Yeah, and that's not to say there's not a lot of smart people in real estate. It's just a very straightforward, traditional path to wealth and independent wealth. If you can just stay the road, because it's a very stable and straightforward way to wealth, but it just takes time, and you have to. You're not going to feel wealthy after your first 1, 2, or 3 purchases, right?
No, you got to get way deep into it.
You got to get deep, and then it takes time, and then 15 years down the road, a lot of those places could be paid off, and then you're where you want to be. So
Yeah.
anyway, we're not a finance podcast, but
Yeah,
I do
somebody's gonna park
actually.
that, geez, you got to talk about money for 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's a portion of me that really enjoys that kind of thing, and I think for most people, it's just a great stage of life if you can have the kind of money or assets where you feel like, what you want to do with your work week is up to you. That's kind of a fantastic stage of life. Is like you're not going to your job because you need money. You're going to your job because it's what you want, right? You're going there because maybe you want that money, or you want whatever it provides. You want to help people, whatever it is. It's like, but you're not tied to a 9 to 5 because you have to be there.
Right.
It's kind of a beautiful thing, and I hope everyone to get there. I hope everyone to get there. It's cool if that's what you want.
Right.
Yeah. So, you could do real estate. You could do business. I think the underlying thing that's similar is you're investing in a compounding asset, something that has the ability to grow year over year.
Right.
Yeah. And if that's real estate, that's cool. If that's business, that's cool. If that's the stock market or index funds, that's cool too. There's a lot of ways to do it. And but if you're young, man, what a powerful time of life to just make a couple good decisions and just change your life at ages 30, 40, 50,
Yeah, and I mean it always seems like it's a stretch, right?
Yeah.
When you're at that point, it's
Yes.
like, God, it seems like a lot and whatnot. But once you do it, you got to realize your income's going to go up, and now you've fixed an expense. You got an expense that's relatively fixed. It's going to go up. I mean, our taxation around here has like doubled or tripled in, I swear, 10, 15 years. So the tax part and the insurance part grow, right? But how much you owe and what interest rate you're at and what that payment costs is going to be relatively the same. So you've managed to take something that requires a cost of living and ensured it's going to be X. As you progressively do this, it's massively noticeable. I mean, my first house that I bought was $70,000. My payment was under $500. I mean, and it was 3 bedrooms and a bath, right? What's that now? Like if you look at it in relation to that, and mind you, that was 24 years ago. I bought my first house when I was 21, barely. I just turned 21.
Yeah.
And that was the smartest thing I ever did. Absolutely smartest thing I ever did.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you didn't go the college route. And there's nothing wrong with the college route. And some careers require the college route. Like, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a CPA. You have to go the college route. That's just part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if I was at that stage of life again, I would want to know my options, And if I was going for a certain degree, I'd want to know, roughly what am I going to make? Versus roughly what amount of debt am I going to accrue? Because I think that's where a lot of I will say that the lending process in college is very loose.
It is.
I could expect that.
One would say it's almost predatory.
Yeah. Basically, as a kid that's 18 years old, you just walk into your financial services thing. You sign some papers, you walk out with some money, and you're not necessarily educated on the debt you're accruing. But if you go to get a loan as an adult, it's a debt versus an asset. In college, I think it should be a debt versus what should that degree. A
college should not be able to charge you for a degree you can't make it back in.
It's crazy.
Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Nor should you be required to take classes that have nothing to do with your degree. That doesn't make any sense.
It's wild.
Especially today. It was one thing when college was, $5,000 a year.
And college was unique. There was a time when college was unique. Like, it was unique to have a business degree from a state school. But, a lot of people, it's much more watered down.
It is.
It's a very supply and demand kind of thing. The more people have degrees, the less those degrees are worth.
That's right.
Right? So, anyway, off our soapbox, on
Get
to...
off. Move on to something else.
On to this little mini Jocko review. Sour apple.
Yeah, what's the verdict?
I like it. I would drink sour apple. I still think iced tea lemonade's been my favorite flavor. I think this is better than lemon lime.
I tried the pink grapefruit. It's good.
A pink grapefruit or the pink lemonade?
Is it pink lemonade?
The one I brought you is probably pink lemonade.
Okay, pink lemonade. It was good.
Yeah.
I tried that yesterday, and then I'm going to take a sip of peach flavored greens.
Yeah.
Because you know how much I love the taste of peach. Let's see. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Now.
Oh, it's interesting. It's not bad.
Yeah. Greens aren't supposed to taste good. I've had those. I've been taking those for like a year because I'm traditionally not very good at eating greens. Sometimes I'll go in waves where I'll have salads, but sometimes I'll just not eat greens at all. So a green supplement's a good thing for me to have. Yeah. What do you think? Greens are greens. Like, greens are not going to be good.
No, I think it's good. I believe I've been having greens for a while. I forget to take them.
Yeah.
I bet you I only take greens every other day instead of every day like you're supposed to. But the flavor's good. I can taste the peach in it. It's not like tastes like peach.
Heavy, no.
You're like, oh, it's a peach salad. Yeah. but it's still pretty darn good.
Yeah,
I think I've had 3 different kinds of greens, and this is pretty good.
Well, you're just coming back from San Diego.
Yeah, I burned the crap out of my head again.
Did you?
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Little scalp burnage. Yeah, I thought you just looked tan, but
no. I looked tan yesterday, and then I woke up this morning, and there's all these cracks. I'm like,
yeah.
That first time you look in the mirror and you raise your eyebrows and you see your skin like going, you're like, oh no, this is all going to peel off. Mm-hmm. Damn it! But it was beautiful. We had really good weather. It was around 3,000 feet. We're about an hour and a half away from San Diego itself, up in the mountains.
Oh, really? You're up in the mountains?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's the second time I've been up in that area, and it always, how do I describe it? It's like Texas if Texas had more mountain area.
Yeah.
Right? Because it looks very much like Texas.
I agree with that. Yeah.
The terrain's or the vegetation looks real similar.
Yep.
The environment looks real similar, and God, it's got to be brutal to hunt in. I did learn what poison oak is.
Oh shit.
Because there is poison oak everywhere. I'd never seen poison oak, and it's not what I thought at all. It looked just like a freaking tree with leaves on it. Like I didn't know what to expect there on that one.
You didn't get it on you?
No, but they were good about having cleaning stations. Like, so if you went out there and you came back, they had all this stuff for wiping down your skin
Yeah.
and scrubbing it off to make sure that even if you did touch poison oak, it would remove it. Because apparently, and I learned this the last day I was there, it takes like 3 days to actually react.
Oh.
So I figured I was fine because I was like, well, I'm not itchy, so I don't have anything to worry about. And then somebody said that, and I immediately went over to the aid station, wiped off my whole body and everywhere. I mean, I'm walking out there on the last day. The last thing we did is me and the girls and one of the other guys in the group went out on the kiddie course, and the girls shot the kiddie course as we were taking it down. And I went out in flip flops and shorts, and I'm like, this is probably not smart. I wore shorts the whole weekend because, man, up here it was cooler right, and I couldn't adjust fast enough. Like I put on a pair of pants and I just started sweating like crazy. So I wore shorts the whole time, and fortunately didn't have any problems. I wasn't sure what to expect as far as people and whatnot. I think James said he ended up with about 300 for it, which is like double the year before. There's this big ass campground. It's all dry camping, but right at the venue, there's a giant campground. So he said up to 600 people could camp there.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean,
that's a great spot for awesome. An event. Yeah.
Yeah. And
to be able to accommodate that camping.
Yeah. And there's a club there that he, negotiates a deal with to use their targets. And then him and Matt go through, and Brianna go through and cut out trails through all of it. They spent like a month hashing out trails, and he would say it's like attack or harder. Yeah.
Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple that were like, "Wow, James is being a dick."
Yeah.
But it was good. I enjoyed it. I like stuff like that. I wish there was a lot more of it. And when he told me that's what he was doing,
as long as you're going into that.
Yeah. When he told me that's what he was doing, I was like, all right, yeah, I'll go and try to support it. And I wish I'd known earlier and planned it earlier so I could announce it a little more.
Yeah, you could help promote it a little bit.
Help promote it and get more people to show up. Which I had a ton of people come up to me and thank me and all that stuff like I usually do. Which, when you're in one community where you figure most of these people are probably from that area, there was a decent amount of people from outside the area that traveled to, come to that. Yeah, shockingly. Yeah, and then he had this younger kid do a little concert on Saturday night, and I made a little clip of it and put it on Instagram. He's good. He knows like 15 songs, and that was it. Yeah. But he has a really, really amazing voice, little country kid. I've got it on my phone. I'm trying to remember his name, but it was a cool event. Hot, burned. Stayed. Well, the first day, I brought my girlfriend with me, and we stayed in San Diego, and toured the Midway. There's if you're on the beachfront, there's the USS Midway. You can go inside and go through the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's a little pricey, but it was worth it. And they had a whole bunch of different. I've always really been into jets, and the whole top of the Midway was covered with different era of jets that you could go right up to and look at and touch. And they had a couple cockpits downstairs. You go sit and climb in a cockpit and see what it looks like.
Do your best Tom Cruise impression.
Yeah. And there's one thing that I definitely learned from ships is, man, the doorways are small, the hallways are small. I mean, I'm like this through everything, but did that and bummed around a little bit, and then Brianna and James met us for dinner and went up to a bar. James had this bar that was over Padres Stadium, so you can actually look down, and if they were playing, you could actually sit there and watch them play from up in the bar. It was pretty cool. And then the next day, drove up there and helped get some things ready and going. They still hadn't put up their booths for merch and that kind of thing, and then did the shoot. We pre-shot the first day, one of the courses, and Becky was struggling a little bit, so we came off and tried to figure out what was going on. And she was hitting it way different. Unfortunately, and this is part of what prompted my wanting to do lighted Nock reviews. Every time she'd miss, the Nock would blow up. Like if you hit the ground at all, the Nock was breaking. And I hadn't experienced that, right? And we're shooting halos, and shot 3 times, missed the target, and the knock broke.
Yeah, or potentially just hit the backside shoulder and it breaks, right?
Well, yeah, she hit a leg and bounced off the rebar, and it blew up. I was like, wow, that was shocking, because I've shot those like for a year plus, and I've never broke one.
Well, especially her not shooting a ton of energy and stuff too,
Yeah,
right?
she's like 40 pounds or
Yeah.
45 pounds. It's not a lot. Like at 26 inches, I think, or 27 inches, if I remember right. So it's like, whoa. So then on the whole way through that and going home, I was like, I should do a bunch of knock tests and compare them against each other and see which ones hold up and that kind of thing. So if you wouldn't mind commenting down on this video, if you're watching on YouTube, for what brand of knocks I should test. I've already decided on Halo Nocturnal, raised outdoors. Those are ones that we will be carrying, period, or are currently carrying. And there's another one from Flex Fletch. I'm trying to remember what, Lit, I think. I'll be carrying all 4 of those, period, in the store. So I'll have them anyway.
Yep.
And there was one brand that somebody, multiple people kept mentioning. I think it's the knockoff brand off Amazon. Like they wanted me to compare those too. So, and I go back and forth on whether or not a guy should do that. Like, do I want to give any credence at all to a knockoff product out of China that's direct to the consumer? Or what if they're good? Right? I would assume they're probably poor quality.
I think,
but maybe they're not, you know?
Yeah, I think that is tough, right? It is tough, but I think one, if you're just transparent, hey, what is this? It's a knockoff product from China, so you can announce that and talk about what it is, and then people make their own decisions. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to be a product review guy, it's like it's part of the deal, and it's just like, just be honest, be fair, and transparent, and some of that stuff's just going to come across your plate or whatever. And maybe it is good, and there are people that just flat out, it's very important for them to save money, and that's the better option.
Yeah, but I want to say there's actually some known brands that are getting really reasonable in price. I want to say Raised Outdoor is actually pretty affordable, and I think the Lit Knocks are actually pretty affordable. Like, they're cheaper than the other ones. And after I put that little clip out, hey, what should we test? Blah, blah, blah. Right? T-Bone messaged me and said that he's been playing with the Lit ones.
T-Bone, a.k.a. T-Bone Turner?
Yeah. He's been playing with the ones from Flex Fletch, the Lit ones, and he said they're really good and they're lighter than anything else he's tried. So, so I hit them up, and they're supposed to be sending me an order form, and I gave them quantities that I wanted to put on there. Like, well, I don't know if we can fulfill all of that, but we'll try to get some of it to you.
Well, something that seems to be resurfacing to me as being so important that a lot of people surpass, and you just did a video on, is Nock Fit. Like,
yeah,
every target person I know and trust is like, they're very anal about their Nock Fit. And there's a reason for that. I don't need to go prove that to myself. I can just trust, the thousands of arrows they shot and their opinions. And it's like, Nock Fit's very important. And, oftentimes with a standard knock and a standard serving size, like your Nock Fit is tight.
Almost every stock
Yeah.
serving is too tight for most knocs.
Yeah. Why is that? Why don't they make bigger knocks or smaller servings?
Well,
is it a safety thing they feel?
Well, no, it's not that. I think what it is more than anything, my assumption would be what the average person thinks their Nock Fit should be versus what someone who understands what their Nock Fit should be is. No different than why are most grips on bows not promoting positive grip hand position? Well, it's because it doesn't feel good. And if you stuck your knock on your string and it felt like it was going to fall off, you'd probably be like, hey, this is too loose if you don't know any better. Right? Because it's way looser than you'd think. Like, you should be able to put a knock on there and flick it with your finger. It should just spin around the string and have no resistance.
It's much looser than you think.
But still stay on.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember the first time I served one that loose, I thought it was bad. It's like, holy crap, this like barely stays on the string. And I later learned that that's actually a really good thing. You don't want it to have any resistance whatsoever. You just want it to clip on and stay there. Like, if you put it down and shake your bow a little bit, it doesn't fall off. That's it. But the average person would feel like it was way too loose. And so I think that's why you get what you get and why you get the diameter you get, is they're frequently too tight, like way too tight. And outside of that, I'm not sure why they do that. That would be my only assumption.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, but yeah, I get it. I just feel like at some point, like, education is also part of the deal. And why not run a friggin' marketing campaign with some of your target people being like, hey, this is how you make your bow more accurate. Oh, this is actually preferable. Oh, this grip style is preferable because, at the end of the day, you're selling a product that you want to work effectively.
That's what I'm trying to do, dude.
I know that's what you're trying to do. Yeah. And it's good, but I mean, I would love to see, more people doing it.
Well, it's funny. You look back in time, and there were several bow companies that made really good grips. And they went away from it because the bows that were the most popular didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They made grips that the average Joe would pick up and go, this feels great, when he doesn't know any better. For the longest time, Matthews made this big wooden ball of a grip.
I remember
your
that
hand
thing.
would be like this.
I remember it. I liked it.
Really up, and I bet you would.
I didn't know
You'd be
anything
the
at the
kind of guy-
time,
You'd be
but-
that kind of guy that'd like it.
I didn't know anything at the time, but I remember I thought it was sweet because it was wooden and it was different. And
Yeah, it felt really good. Other than when you drew it back, you had no idea where your hand was. It's like I can move my hand all over and it feels the same, and that's bad because that means you're not holding it the same every time. And if you don't hold the bow the same every time, it's not going to go in the same spot. Just no way around it.
yeah.
So it's another thing that manufacturers do to try to appease a customer that doesn't get helped, which is why the education part of this industry is so important because so many people don't know any better.
It's true.
And if you're not putting out a lot of good information that a lot of people are watching, they're never going to know any better because a decent amount of shops don't really help people.
Yeah.
And that's not a bash on shops. I'm not doing that. It's just there's so many places. Like if you look at our state, right? We got 30,000 bow hunters. You go to Pennsylvania, they got 300,000 or something like that. How many people do you think are walking into a shop every day?
Well, yeah, there's
Like a lot. Like they're like, oh, you want this bow? Great, bolt it together, move on. They're not getting that education that traditionally we try to provide really hard. But we've had less customers for a long period of time, to where we had that time. Like it's like there's going to be a while before the next guy walks in here. There's no reason to cut this short. And the tricky part for me, and we've talked about this a lot, me and Justin, of trying to figure out where do you draw the line, or do you? Right. And it's like, well, you still got to be profitable. And I know there's been multiple times where I was like, dude, I don't care if I break even. Like, I'm fine if I break even. The majority of the revenue is coming from online. Like, I'm okay with breaking even, but we can't literally set this up to lose money. There's no way that'll ever sustain itself in the long run. So we've, gone to scheduling appointments and gone to predetermined amounts of time. And it's still like working really well, and people are still getting educated really well and learning and understanding, and they just sit there and watch the guy build a bow right in front of them, right? As long as you've made an appointment and scheduled it. So going to reemphasize it for those that are listening. They're thinking of coming, schedule an appointment. If you don't schedule an appointment, we're not building your bow while you wait. It's not very likely. It might happen, but we may make you wait for the next available appointment because we're already helping people, right? But we've yet to have a day that was completely full, which is good, which is the idea. It's like if we get to a point that there's not an appointment available the next day, we need more staff. But until then, we should be okay. And I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. Because, we did the math on how many bows you'd have to sell. We're never going to sell that many bows with the staff that we have. It's just there might come a day where it's full. One day. But there's no way the next day is full.
That's okay. I mean, think about in those kind of situations, like people wait more than a day to do lots of things that require skill.
Well, and,
you don't walk into your doctor's office and get an appointment that day that often. You don't. Things that are custom to you, like it doesn't need to happen that day or even that week. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's nice if it can, certainly.
Yeah, there was hesitation.
But if there's a custom skill involved, yeah.
There was hesitation, but the reality of it is if a customer is like not happy about it, say, look, man, it's really important to us that we make sure we give you an adequate amount of time. So we've gone to this to ensure that the time that you have is our time. And it's not, I'm trying to juggle 4 things and you. It's like, I'm dedicated to you from here to here. And anybody that walks in has to wait till the next time, right? I actually was talking to one of the guys from Bow and Arrow Shop, which is the one down in San Diego. I've known their owner, Bruce, for 10 plus years. We were on a hunt together a long time ago. He snuck up behind me and grabbed my ass. Oh, hi, Bruce. Jesus. But he's a character. But one of his main shop tech was in a group I was shooting with for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
I was told him about the fact that we went to appointments, and he's like, oh, God, that sounds amazing. And there can be some hesitation, but dude, it's worked out so well. It's bonkers. We've never been completely booked out on a day. Everyone has their own dedicated time. And in the long run, the customer's going to greatly appreciate that this was their time.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of, oh, hang on, I got to go do this. Oh, hang on, I got to go do that. It's like, no, this is your time. I'm building your bow. And the people that aren't on an appointment have to go do the random stuff. So it's been great. Really glad we did it. And I'm sure it'll continue.
As I think about that a little more, like it kind of is a little bit of the evolution of like how golf club fitting has went. Typically, if you're going for a standard club fitting now, one, you're paying for the time to be with that person.
Right.
Some people waive that time if there's a purchase. Some people don't. I see both sides of that. I do club fitting for my current clients, but that's just only for clients that are currently taking lessons because I want them playing the right gear. But Dick's Sporting Goods would be like a pretty good model of somewhere you could kind of model off of is if a person wants to come in and try the stuff unwarranted, they can just pick it up and try it, which is a little more complicated with a bow because it has to have the right draw length, right?
Yep.
So that's a little more complicated. But then their next level is, hey, if you want to try it and get it fit right for you, then they offer a fitting service, which is basically kind of what you're doing now. So you kind of have like a, hey, try it on your own kind of thing, or a more, hey, this is more catered, more tiered, more professional.
Well, that would be very similar to our test firing a bow versus building a bow.
Yes.
And we have separate appointments for that.
Which is cool.
So we give you an hour for test firing, and then if your intent is once you decide what bow you want to immediately build it afterwards, we'll book a 3-hour. But, you come in, try it out 1 hour, pick out what you want, decide. And then if you decide you want to buy a bow, you're leaving it until our next available appointment to build it, right? Unless you scheduled 3 hours. But that means you're picking something and then going right into the build. So we have a couple different ways that we do it now.
That's cool.
And, we played with that for like a month until we settled on those things. Like, hey, this isn't quite working out. How do we modify this? How do we change this? And for the most part, it's been rare that we've gone over that mark of time.
And that eventually leads to some type of online scheduling service that will be kind of intimidating to start, but
I do want to build a portal where you pick out all your gear ahead of time.
It'll be adored when it actually gets implemented and is efficient because you'll meet a person or you'll be able to call them ahead of time, but you haven't had to talk through all this with the phone. You haven't had to do all the education. It's just like it helps you scale what you're doing, and it's a beautiful thing. Like a good portion of my clients now come from. A lot of them come from referral, but then they just book through the website, and then I'll call them in advance, get to know them. But they've done 90 or 95% of the pre-education via the website, which is awesome. It just it helps scale what you do.
Yeah, it's amazing how a combination of things will really save a ton of time.
Yeah,
like we rarely have conversations about the specs of a bow anymore, ever. Like they already know. Like they come in, they've watched the videos, they already know what this one is and that one is, and what the specs for this one. It's not that common that they're even asking that anymore. And they still want to run some arrows through them and try them, but the amount of explanation you have to give about a bow or a product anymore is so much less.
The amount of education is so much better, right?
Yeah, they come in already kind of knowing a lot,
and that helps save time and creates a better buying experience because they're not going in blind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about bows because I just built a new bow myself in my little rotating bow year. But real quick, before we hop into that, why don't you tell them how they can support the podcast?
Well, let's see. How many different ways can one support our podcast?
Well, number one, most importantly, your website, right?
Sure. Yeah, go over to podiumarcher.com, purchase some stuff there. You can use coupon code TimC to save a little money.
Yeah, I got a coupon code. It helps support this. Josh I like to call him a dealership. He's a dealership of archery stuff.
Get your fix.
Yeah.
And then we got a new one from old Jocko Go.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, right? Because like if we would have started this thing, which we did, and we were like, I mean, we've always drank Jocko Go, but what are the chances that they are actually like into supporting, the pod from a more sponsorship level?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're very fortunate.
I would have thought it was a kind of a snowball's chance in hell kind of thing.
Yeah.
But whatever, somewhere noticed what we're doing, and we got to meet him, and it's kind of cool.
So that one's also on their website. One, we are carrying these products on our website.
You're also dealership.
We're also also dealership, or you can buy them from Jocko and just use coupon code Josh and Tim.
Josh and Tim.
Save you 10%.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Now, I do like sour apple. I like the greens. I like the protein powder, but I think their supplements are, we talk a lot about the energy drinks, but their supplements are good.
Yeah, I'm just starting to play with those a little bit. So,
yeah.
But so far, I'm pleased.
Yeah. So 6 months from now, if Josh is jacked, let's get jacked.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. If he's blowing out his sleeves on his shirts, we'll know why.
Yeah, exactly right. It all works, bro.
But yeah, I switched to the Elite Ethos recently, and I just felt like I could never get the Bowtech Core SS to shoot as well as other flagship bows I've shot in the past. And I definitely gave it a fair shake. I tried to build it. I tried to work with it. I changed the tune. I changed it to the smooth mods, and I did a lot with it to try to really make it work. And I just never felt like my good shots were obviously good. My bad shots, I just didn't feel like were very forgiving compared to other flagship bows in the past. And I was like, let's go to something else. So I went to the Elite Ethos, which was surprisingly kind of snuck up on me in the bowbine test review video that we did.
Right.
It was very sneaky to me when I got them all side by side. I thought it held well. I thought it drew well. And it's not as feature rich as the other bows, but those things alone are pretty important. How well does it hold? How well does it feel? 1/4 inch draw length adjustments, adjustable holding weight. So it does have some features that are pretty important from like a tinkering perspective.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a very functional bow. It's on my list of ones to build.
Yeah,
I haven't built one yet, but I will be building one to compare.
It's got a fantastic grip.
Great grip. The draw cycle is great. Adjustability is great on the draw lengths and whatnot.
Good speed for high brace height.
Yeah, it's a little on the heavy side, but it's not
the total
terrible.
bow weight is heavy, but
yeah, it's not terrible though. It's a really good overall bow, like from a spec standpoint, and I'll have better feedback for you in the near future once I build one, because I still have at least 2 more to build.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you think about it at your draw length.
Yeah, it's like I said, if they were, it's the bow they've built that's most like what I would like to use.
Yeah,
it really is like my ideal. I like that 34, 35 inch, reasonable brace height, decent speed, decent cycle, stability, very little reflex. Things like that are real appealing to me, because at the end of the day, I'm usually building a bow for accuracy at distance, and then I'll use it for other things. And that bow's really designed that way and built that way. I know Snyder's been using an Elite for a year or two. He uses a Verdict, like their target bow.
Oh.
But he uses it in, hunting finish, obviously. But he's a big fan of that. I don't know if he's still using a Verdict or if he's gone to an Ethos or what, but I know he's a pretty big fan of their product. And Kidder, who's one of their sales reps, was at Reading, and he was shooting an Ethos, not a Verdict. Like, why aren't you shooting a Verdict? And he's like, I like the way this bow shoots better.
Shoot it better or whatever.
Yeah, I shoot it better.
Yeah.
So he's shooting a 34-inch bow instead of like a 38 or 39-inch bow.
Yeah, that's
pretty wild.
It's kind of crazy.
Probably something to that, because that guy, he's one of their reps that knows how to shoot.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old Thunder Mitt. Shout out to Thunder Mitt.
Shout out to Thunder Mitt. Anytime we can shout out Thunder Mitt on the pod, let's do that.
Well, absolutely. Well, he was in San Antonio. I shouted out across the way. I was like, "What's up, Thunder Mitt?"
Thunder
It's
Mitt.
like, dude, everybody at work calls me Thunder Mitt now, you dick.
Yeah.
Like, well, don't break stuff
Could be worse.
with them mega mitts.
Could be worse. It's a beautiful nickname.
Yeah, right?
Could be a great gamer tag, too.
100%. Yeah, if he was in
Got
the gaming,
Thunder Mitt in the chat.
It should totally be his gamer tag.
Yeah. Anyway, my early impressions are really good. Like the draw cycle feels great. It seems very stable. I get to watch a lot of myself shoot on camera, which sounds silly to say, but I do, because I edit my own videos, and you can see the bow's holding very nicely, and yeah, feels good. So I'm excited to see where it goes. And yeah, we got a local shoot coming up, which we should talk about, is the top pin shoot in our area.
Yep.
Have you set aside the dates? Will you be there? Do you know? Or
I haven't looked. I think I can, though. I'm pretty sure I can. I intend to.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked at the calendar. I was looking at another one the other day. They had the one in Kalispell or whatnot. I was looking at that and the dates of that.
Yeah.
I know I have that open.
Well, I haven't done the same as you, but I want to be there. It's kind of become part of the local circuit that I really like to make. I like how we did it last year. It was very fun to just it's kind of like a staycation, right?
Do you know what the date of that is?
I thought it was like July 11th, but you could look it up. But last year we did, because it's only an hour from us, so we can drive. But it's kind of like a staycation to just drive over there, stay the night in an Airbnb. You did a good job picking an Airbnb last time. And I just thought that was a really nice weekend. Because on weekends like that, I've been known to stretch myself a little thin, driving, doing as much as I can. And it was just nice to be able to go to a place in the evening, make dinner, and kind of unwind and get ready for the next day. Because that is an actual archery event that you could shoot for fun, but this time around, I kind of want to go there and see what kind of score I could post with my hunting rig. So as I look into the calendar, that's kind of one on. It's like, hey, let's go see what I can do. Let's see what I can shake up. I've done it a couple of years now, so I know my way around. And yeah, it'll be fun to see.
No, that's a good one. There's a resort right there too. So it's one of those that if you want to bring the wife and kids or something like that, there's a water park, and I don't know if it's a hotel or if they're all privately owned or whatnot, but I know you can rent a room there or you can get a house in town in Silver Mountain. And it's a ski resort, so it's great. It's a great place, great venue.
Yeah.
Good setup.
The beautiful town of Kellogg, Idaho.
It is.
The heart of North Idaho.
The heart of North Idaho, for sure.
Yeah. I like it. I look forward to it. And TAC's not too far on the corner for us. You excited for that?
That? June?
It's freaking middle of June, dude. It's
middle of June.
Not that far away.
God, what day is it? I'm so lost.
Well, in podcasting,
it's 22nd. Oh my God.
We live in a gray
like
area
3 weeks,
where dates and time don't exist, but it's
like
not that far away.
Yeah, it's like 3-ish weeks. Holy crap.
It's a real deal.
Now I'm a little worried.
You excited? You got to take Bodie Turner down.
I like Dan's strategy for that. All of our arrows versus his.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work on the first day, we try to wreck him with dirty jokes.
Yeah, I saw a little whiteboard planning session that looked.
Somebody told me. Somebody I think it was at that shoot. There was a guy from the west side that was down there at James's. He told me how to break Bodie. He knows him.
Is it fart jokes?
Huh?
Because Joel said farts. Get him.
No.
Okay.
No. It wasn't that. I don't want to say it.
Okay.
I don't want to give it out there.
I don't
want the pros that listen to this to figure out how to break Bodie.
Yeah, he actually makes a living with archery. So.
He is officially making a living with archery.
Which is a very difficult thing to do. That says a lot about his skill level. Mm-hmm. But that'll be fun to... I think I know what bow he'll show up with, and it's a short hunting bow, what I think is what he'll show up with.
You think so?
But who knows? I mean, it's a wide open year, He just brought what bow did he bring to Reading?
He brought a title, 38.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he didn't win, so maybe he's having different feelings.
Yeah. 38 or 36? 38?
No, it was a 38.
Oh,
well, at least he was shooting the 38. I know he has a 36, but he said he liked the 38
I thought it
better.
might have been the 36 that he brought.
I'm pretty sure it was a 38, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's dabbling in the dark arts like me. Like, he's swapping through different bows. And so who knows what he'll show up to tack with, but...
Definitely seemed very satisfied with his bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, he's got one of them old Mach 30s, doesn't he?
I know he's got at least one, yeah.
Yeah. He's probably got fucking 10 bows over there. Yeah. Everybody's sending him stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows what he'll show up with. He might use a title. Who knows?
Yeah. Could be a good chance to see our dude.
Yeah.
He might be there.
Jocko.
He's been there in the past.
He's been every year I've been there. So it's very likely.
Yeah.
That's in 3 weeks. Oh, my God.
It's crazy, dude.
I thought I had like a while. No, because that's the same weekend that my daughter's graduation party is. So I have to like leave early Sunday morning and drive back from there for her graduation party.
Yeah, I might actually hang out and shoot Sunday that day.
Yeah, I would have liked to not been in a rush or just stay that extra day, but I got to drive back early.
Well, and you know what's...
But then you're going to miss my daughter's graduation party.
Yeah. I'm going to miss either way.
You can just Venmo her some money.
That's fine. She'd probably appreciate that. Do you know, after that, I'm going to Colorado. My buddy's bachelor party.
Oh, really?
I'm going on the road trip. So I might make a...
Are you gonna like let go? Or are you going to just still hang on with the control?
No.
That's that bachelor party.
No, I'll let loose for sure.
You're going to let loose?
Oh, yeah.
Do I know anybody in this group?
It's one of my best friends, yeah. It'll be fun.
Will I know anyone in this group that's going?
No.
Can I get somebody's number and say, please send me something incredibly embarrassing of Tim?
No.
Come on, man.
There'll be no media coverage.
I told you, one time. I just want to see Tim go crazy one time.
Yeah, we'll have fun. But, one of my best friends from college, we live together. He wants to fly fish. He wants to golf. He wants to do Colorado things. And yeah, it's going to be in the mountains. It's going to be awesome. So I'm going to get to do this really cool road trip, which I've always liked the road trip to Big Sky. But then I'm going to get to go Big Sky to Colorado. And then our freaking friend Jake Webb is getting married that weekend. So I'm going to actually bomb back a little sooner than I thought I would have to for Jake's wedding.
Oh, God, that's what I'm doing the next weekend.
Yeah.
'Cause he's getting married here
It's
at
crazy.
my house.
So yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah,
pretty
so
quick.
that's coming up.
Yeah,
That's quick.
that's crazy.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I got a lot to do. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So here we are.
Welcome back to my life.
But we podcast every week.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious, it's fun having guests here. I would, it'd be neat to see who we can get to come here to podcast with us.
Well, James is going to come up here.
Did he pick dates? Do you know?
I got to check my calendar. But yeah, I think he's got dates. It's just how long one way or the other around it that he's willing to come up. And, God, what did he say? Well, I said we could do a pod.
Of course.
Come on the pod. He's bringing Brianna with him. And Brianna would like to challenge you to a 3D shoot here on the course.
Perfect. Yeah.
Take down Tim.
I love it. Yeah.
You can probably put that one on your channel if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, good times. I think that's in like 3 weeks too, or 4 weeks or something or other.
Yeah. I think maybe sometimes people think we're like scary or something. But I'm kind of open to podcasting with whoever. I just want to talk to interesting people about whatever. Yeah. Anyone in the space that wants to, or even that isn't in the space, just wants to come talk about hunting or archery or, yeah. And we're going to do some Q&A. We're going to get a little segment going because, man, we get requested for that a lot. And I understand because there's a lot of like archery untangling to be done, and I don't know what all those answers are.
So just where they ask questions and we answer them, or what?
Yeah, we'll just like get a list of questions and have people kind of upvote what they want to see, and we'll kind of cherry pick the ones that are good.
We should probably ought to get on that.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Earlier we talked about, we said serving size was kind of an uncommon thing that is important for accuracy. Grips, we then talked about like, hey, your grip is very important, being able to have feedback, having a good grip. Mm-hmm. What other things would lump into that category that just like goes over a lot of people's head that's actually very low-key important? Yeah.
String angle.
String angle?
Yeah, or approach angle, distance and the angle that the string comes across your face. That's a big one, but it's something that people don't really measure. So, and it's the length the string lobes off the cam at when the bow's at draw. That'll dictate what your string angle is.
And that's traditionally the thing that, or one of the reasons why longer axle can be a little more forgiving.
Yeah, that's why when you go to a different axle-to-axle bow length but set at the same draw length, you go, this is short, this is long. It's because of the angle it's coming into your face. Feels different, so your head position ends up being different based off that.
Yeah. And how about like tuning myths? Things that, this is such a deep rabbit hole, but like, what's a couple of the like common tuning myths? I know a lot of people move their rest for everything, right?
A lot of people shouldn't move the rest for everything.
That's what I'm saying. Tuning myth, right?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you don't want to move your rest at all. Like if you move your rest right to pick up a point right tear, right, try to eliminate it, you're a lot better served to move the cams left and right if the bow offers it, or wheel lean adjust the cams, depending on what their orientation systems are. Because at the end of the day, you want the arrow to leave a certain orientation off of the riser so it follows a straight line. And when you're moving the arrow rest in and out, you're changing that straight line. And then you're going to have to move your sight left and right accordingly. And in some instances, you'll run out of sight picture. Like you literally won't be able to see it. So you can move a rest, but you'll typically run into downrange issues when you do it. You'll shoot like 80, 90, 100 yards with broadheads. Field points, you won't typically see it, which is why that's like your original guideline is just move the rest because it doesn't matter. And you'll still, as long as you don't lose sight picture and you still see like your scope or your housing, there's no reason not to do it. But as soon as you try to do that with the broadhead, you typically end up with a left-right impact you can't get rid of. Traditionally, everything else being equal. Whereas if you orientate the wheels differently but keep the rest where it is, you typically won't run into that. But not all bows have that ability, right?
Yeah, and then some on those you change either the yoke right?
Well, it depends, man. You go back far enough and you can't. You literally can't. So there were bows that were made at one point that didn't have yokes, so you can't twist the yoke, and didn't have like spacers, so you couldn't move the cam left to right. You move the rest, period. And I think that's where it started from. So a lot of the earlier stuff, that was the only method of tuning that exists. You either move the rest left to right, or you stiffen or weaken the arrow. That's all you can do. Because, I mean, if you go back far enough, when there wasn't an arrow rest, all you could do was stiffen or weaken the arrow, or raise or lower the brace height, or raise or lower the nock point to change how it left a bow. And then you got, center shot to where you could actually move a rest left to right and have adequate clearance over the fletching. That allowed you the ability to bump the rest as opposed to stiffen or weaken the arrow. Then ideally from there you'd get good clear fletching clearance, so you weren't reading a reaction off of your fletching hitting the side of the riser. And then you could functionally move the whole arrow rest up and down and left and right, so you could orientate it around where it was mounted and still manipulate it up or down or left or right. Well, but the reality of it is you still want it to leave in a given spot. Like, you want it preferably 13/16 off the riser and slightly above the bolt hole. Like a little, like I'd like to see the bottom third of the bolt exposed and have my arrow going through the top third or top third, somewhere around there. Typically, usually gives you adequate clearance for your fletching underneath the riser. And for one reason or another, most bows tend to point a little better when you put the loop up just a little bit above square, but still run it at a 90-degree angle out of the bow. Well, from that, then it's a matter of manipulating your timing to make sure your nock height's right, and then manipulating your wheel position. Whether it's moving the wheel in or out, move the wheel in, you decrease lean, move it out, you increase lean, right? Or you shorten a yoke on either side to turn the cam this way, turn the cam that way. And the point of it is you're always trying to get the cams to be straight at full draw. That's what you're trying to get to and be equal. And then if it still doesn't tune, then you manipulate them equally in, equally out, if you can. But some of these things, the shims or the spacers or the top hats or whatever you want to call them, only provide a small amount of movement left, or I should say coarse amounts of movement left to right. So you sometimes don't get that option. Sometimes you have to move one cam, one position to be able to get the bow to tune, because it goes from, the laser lining up on the right side of the cam groove to far over to the left side. And you don't have a choice, which you run into that with certain bows. So it's all how much you want to manipulate or play with stuff and how technical you want to get. But at the end of the day, you really shouldn't be moving your rest. Like, if you're moving your rest more than like a 16th left or 16th right, you're probably doing too much.
Yeah. So if we exist in a perfect world, we get that rest, 13/16, and then arrow going through the top third, typically.
I like to have the bottom third exposed. So if you were to look at your arrow up, you should be able to see the bottom third of the bolt hole.
Yeah.
Which puts your arrow kind of through the middle to the above section. Depends on how big around your arrows too, right?
Yep. Yeah, depends on your arrow size.
It's a bolt head about that big, so it's probably similar to a 2.46 size arrow. So if you're shooting like a 1.66, it may still be within the bolt hole, but you'd have the bottom portion of it exposed.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
Yeah. And then we change our cams left and right, and we want to get our timing right.
Yeah, you won't get a clean hole through paper at a time.
Yeah.
You just won't. It'll always show you a nock low or nock high.
And then what you've always been a fan of is, like, once you've gotten to that point, you've gotten to a bullet hole, you've shot your bow a little bit, things are good, then you go straight to a broadhead.
Yeah.
Because the world of the internet is like, they like to go from commonly, one thought is they like to go from a Bareshaft and then to a broadhead. But your counter argument is always, you're doing the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you could go straight to a broadhead and just do the same things you would have already done with a Bareshaft.
Yeah, I think it's redundant. And I've had people try to explain it well, yeah, but I don't want to shoot my broadheads a bunch, but I still want to be able to check my tune. And I get that part.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's
I understand
definitely
that. As long as you're talking an equal weight, right?
Yeah.
You're compensating for the fact that there's not fletching on there with the same amount of weight in the back of the arrow. I understand that purpose, but I personally want to shoot my broadheads, and I want to know. Like the last 3 weeks before I go hunting, all I shoot is broadheads. I don't shoot anything else.
Yep.
Because I want to know that works. I mean, it's nice to know that my shaft and my broadhead look the same, but if I haven't shot like every arrow with a broadhead, I don't know how well I trust it. And I'll have like 6 that I practice with constantly. So for myself, just to ensure the level of consistency, I want to shoot that product. So for me, that's why I say skip it. To go right to a broadhead, because I know I'm going to shoot broadheads anyway. If you don't want to shoot broadheads, if like that's your goal is to not have to practice with broadheads ever, then yeah, use a shaft. But outside of that, I don't see why you wouldn't just skip over that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's good to understand both sides, and your side's definitely a little more time effective, right? So if you have all the time in the world and it's just like you just want to be kind of like,
Yeah, I do not have that.
yeah. But if a person does, because there's definitely that person who's like, I just want to do everything I can to make sure this bow's accurate as possible. Maybe then they do, Bareshaft tune and then go to their broadhead tune, and yeah, whatever, ends up in the same place, right?
Potato. It's the same
Potato,
thing.
potato.
Different name, same game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we all want to shoot hunting arrows that, are well tuned and hit where they hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The crazy thing about your perspective is like, I think most of our little internet keyboard warriors are like concerned about shooting a broadhead 20 to 50 yards, which is relative hunting distance. And most people don't want to hunt further than that, but you've always tested your gear out way far.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm at this stage, I don't really argue with you, because I know you've probably broadhead tested out to long ass ways.
If it's like dead nuts at 150 yards, it's going to be really accurate at 50.
Yeah.
So I just like to shoot as far away as I can, because it really forces me to dial stuff in. It's amazing how I'll have my stuff set. Like here at the range, I can shoot 120 pretty easily if nobody's on the range, based off of where I can put a target and where I can stand. And almost always have a tailwind, and it's not left to right. So it's not terribly hard to get some good sight marks. But it's amazing how I'll spend, and we're talking about doing it for a longer period of time, but I'll spend 3 or 4 weeks before we go hunting, a couple nights a week going to my cousin's house. Like I'll bail out of here at between 4 and 5 and drive over to his house, and we'll shoot till we can't see. Every night, and not like a ton of arrows, just like let's shoot 3 to 5 really good arrows, and then tweak or take a break or whatnot, and then do it again, and then do it again, but not just like beating ourselves up with shots. And it's amazing the tiny little changes you'll make to it, and then before you know it, 2 weeks has gone by, and your stuff is so stupid accurate, it's not even funny. It's just really consistent.
Yeah,
and getting those reps at that, and that's just what I enjoy doing. And it's worked so well for me over the years that I'll never not do that.
Yeah.
Like if I want to know my stuff's really, really dialed.
Like if you want to shoot an antelope at how far or whatever.
Longer than 100. Let's say the setup for tack, I'll probably go over there a couple of nights and really check it. Assuming that it was not windy, because that is the one thing that'll get you. You can't do wind over there. However, it almost always dies an hour before dark.
Yeah.
Like no matter what.
Especially
like
later in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a pretty windy spring. Challenging that way.
Yeah. I don't think the last 3 events or 4 events or whatever that I went to, I wasn't dialed, and I had like 2 days left, and the weather was shit the last 2 days. Every time. Not affording you an opportunity to get a really good mark.
Oh, now an additional diagnostic tool you have is you bought yourself some good high quality slow-mo, right?
I did. Got me some silky slow-mo, and I told my cousin, I was like, I'm bringing this over when we're doing this, and literally like shoot 5 arrows and then immediately go back to the laptop and look at it, because you can see any wobble. Like you really can. It slows it down enough you can actually watch it in flight. So I'm pretty jacked about that, and I'm jacked to incorporate that in more of my videos.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to that. And what's Brianna's last name?
I don't know.
James is Brianna.
James is Visser. They're not married.
Yeah, they're not yet or whatever. But she wants to take me down. Well,
yes, she wants to take.
Guess
down
what,
Tim.
Brianna? Challenge accepted.
Right.
Come on
I'll
up.
pass that
Come
along.
on up. I got the whooping stick ready.
I'll
It comes
let
in
you
the
know.
form of an elite ethos, and I'll be handing them out all summer. You know what I mean?
I think they're going to be here like Tuesday through Friday or something like
Yeah.
that.
Hey, anytime, anywhere, any place. That's what I keep telling Joel now.
Right.
All right, we're gonna sign off today. appreciate you all. Leave us a review, subscribe to it if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to it. That stuff helps us, and it helps us know that it was a good episode. So the more good feedback we get is like we can point our direction that way, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate the feedback very much.
Yeah, very much.
Thanks for watching.